And what are some of the things that you can bring from your childhood experience into corporate life, where now we are thinking about this tone at the top, mood in the middle, and how it affects the energy at the bottom? What does the father at the bottom reveal about the health of an organization?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jackie, and it's a pleasure being here. It's really nice to see the very many faces in the room. Tone at the top, in the middle, at the bottom. I'll just talk about some things my late father used to say, Jackie. He always talked about him being a train and there being many carriages. And he said, when a train is moving and a carriage falls off, it doesn't stop. It keeps moving, meaning that nobody is in charge of your life. He always said it, each of you, my children, are carriages, and you should be in charge of your life. So when we were growing up, we all knew the buck stopped with us. And accountability, he spoke a lot about accountability, and I see this a lot in organizations. It's one of the key virtues I picked up as a child. The second thing, Jackie, is around the village. And this comes into organizations. When we're being raised, we're raised by a village. We're raised by biological uncles, non-biological aunties, and there was a sense of accountability back then, where you knew that if you did something wrong, you'd be summoned by the board. Then that was the board of directors. Now relating it and bringing it back home today, I see that at the board level, there's a lot of joint accountability, and that's why you have the chair, like Japheth, who is the chief chair with a big C, who will then call the rest of us board members to order and ask what happened in your committee. And then you'll call the management team and say what happened further down the line until you get down to the bottom. So the point around joint accountability and being raised by a village was a key virtue that I picked up, Jackie. And it's the third point I want to talk about is respect at the bottom, respect for your ecosystem. When I speak to CEOs and to board members, they say the most important people in their lives are, number one, the drivers, because they can't do without the drivers. So we were raised to respect the people at the bottom of the ecosystem. And this is where the majority of your employees will be typically in an organization. So the culture must be right at the bottom in order to get the passion from the people at the bottom of the ecosystem. So I'll add to that, Jackie, but I thought I should point out the three virtues that I picked up as a child: accountability, respect for the ecosystem, and owning your own future. Nobody owes you a living. If you're a carriage that's going to get off the rail, then you'll fall down and nobody's going to pick you up. So thank you, Jackie.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. And I want to stay a little bit with you on that point. If you can speak to us about what does really healthy board culture look like? It's something we talk about, but what does it look like? And what are the biases or the blind spots that often get in the way of creating that, if you like, ideal culture? I feel like it's one of those things that's like a purpose or a vision. It's that utopia you never quite get to, but you're always striving to get there.
Thank you, Jackie. Interesting questions. Let me start with a healthy board culture. And I am fortunate to sit on 3 very good boards. I sit on TPS Serena for East Africa. I sit on Sanlam General. And of course, UBL with Chief, who has now left us formally. Japheth was my chair at UBL. And the board culture, determination of a healthy board culture is the ability, number one, to listen to each other. None of my chairpersons have ever been people who come and talk through the meeting. They actually did more of listening. The board members spoke, the CEO presented, and then the chair always comes in at the end. So listening, the ability for a board to listen and to appreciate that management actually knows more than the board. Mm-hmm. So the board at any one time should not think that they know more how to run the company or know better than management. So I believe if you have a board that listens to the CEO, calls the CEO in and says, we need to learn from you, and then appreciates and allows management to run with the board decisions. A non-operational board members who do not call the CEO every 5 minutes, what are we doing? Where is this board resolution? Why, I was driving to to somewhere I did not see the bars with banners. Why is that not the case? You cannot do that as a board member. So allowing management to run with your decision and giving praise. You need to acknowledge that the organization is run by the management team and not by the board. So culture starts at the top. The way the board members even walk through those offices. I've been to offices where people run, where they see board members. The board members Candy was alluding to, where the board member is a god, a small g. You need to walk in, greet everybody from the gate. Greet the gate man, let your bodyguard carry however many bags you have, but greet the gate people, greet the receptionists, go up, have a cup of tea and laugh with everybody. Already, Jackie, you're breaking down the barriers of you being a board member. And I keep telling my fellow board members, when we're at parties, why don't board members dance? Why do they sit back and say, oh, a board member cannot dance? But it's not a title. You have a name. I am Rachel, besides being a UBL board member. So when I go for a UBL show, I want to dance with the marketing team. And that does not take away my role as a board member who has to pick up the phone and ask why the numbers are going down. So it's about really breaking down those barriers. I think at times as board members, Jackie, we take our role too serious. We think we are hanging up on a pedestal, which is wrong. We're just as normal and as ordinary as the people that we're managing. So my advice to board members is be normal. Don't carry your title on top of your face and round the corridor and saying, do you know me? When I come to Serena, I park my car normally. I have to go around like everyone else. I cannot call the GM and say, please send someone down to park my car. That would be wrong of me. But I could if I wanted to. And he would be okay with it, but it is wrong. So, Jackie, in a nutshell, let's stop carrying these titles. Culture is about coming down to the tone or the people at the bottom. I hope I've answered both questions. The biases, really, just speaking to the biases at the boardroom, everyone thinks when you get into a boardroom, there's this magic wall, and you're getting into the situation room, like Julius has said. Just be a board member who walks in and speak your voice. On the Serena board, I am the only woman, and there are 9 guys. But that doesn't mean I'm going to keep quiet when I go to Nairobi. I will speak, because I have my points, I have read, I've researched about what's happening in all the hotels. So make sure you are a board member who adds value and break down all these biases at the board about not being able to speak, not being able to contribute, and not being able to allow management to tell you what is supposed to be done. So in a nutshell, Jackie, it's all about breaking down these. I wish there was a new title for board members, because I think it's overrated. I'm looking at Japheth here, who has more experience than me. I wish we would break down these titles and remind board members that we are as ordinary as the people that we lead.